So our audio jukebox is working pretty well, but there's obviously a few errors. Now, if we play a song, the song obviously plays. We've got it resetting back to its original style. But right now, if I want to pause the song, I actually have to reload the page. So if I click on one of these, the only way to pause them is by hitting the refresh page. So I want to make sure that I deal with that issue. Now, to do that, we're going to need to reformat our JavaScript a little bit. So let's get into it. Now, the first thing I want to do is create a new variable to make sure that I know whether or not a song is currently playing. So I'll call that variable song playing. And I'm going to set that to a document query selector. And I want to find anything that has the ID of player. So make sure I put a pound sign here. If you remember in the previous movie, I mentioned that I was creating this ID and that we weren't using it yet, but it was going to be useful later on. Well, this is later on, and this is where you have made your life easier by giving this element an ID. Now I can just check the document for the existence of a player, and if it does exist, then I can do stuff to it. Now I can say something like, if the song is playing, then do something. Otherwise, do something else. And really, what I want to do is have the something else be everything that I did before, because if a song is not playing, then I want to start playing a song, which is what I was doing before. So I'm going to grab all this and insert it right here. And since I'm creating the element on this line, I'm going to move that to the top of this else statement right here. That's the first line of creating a new element called audio. And the rest of it is just setting that element's properties. So we haven't really done anything yet. What we wanted to do was make sure that we could create essentially a toggle, something that allows me to pause and continue to play a paused song. So to do that, I need to put all that code right in here, and that's why I separated everything else. So what I need to do is check to see if the song that's currently playing has been paused. And I can do that by using one of the properties of any sound element. So it goes something like this. So I say if song playing dot paused, then do something, and otherwise do something else. Now, where am I getting this paused from? Well, if you look at the properties available to the sound element, you can see that there are methods and properties for audio and video elements. If you scroll down in the properties section, you can see that there's one called paused. And it says it sets or returns if the audio video is paused or not. And that sounds a little complicated. But essentially, I can check to see whether or not an element is playing by checking to see if it's paused. If it's paused, it means it's not playing, or it has been paused. So what I want to do here is make sure that I say if the element has been paused, then say song playing dot play, because now I want to play it. It's been paused. And then I want to set the ID of this element, the target of what I clicked on, to playing. Now, if it hasn't been paused, then I want to say song playing and then pause and use the method. Remember, the method right here to pause a song is this pause method. And then set the target of what I clicked on, e.target ID equal to paused. So this is just going to set the right style for the element. If you remember, we set those up in our style sheet. So there was a paused ID as well as a playing ID. All right, so let's go ahead and save this and go into our jukebox and refresh and see if we can pause some of these songs. So excellent. You can see the style is being applied. If we take a look at the audio player, it doesn't look like anything's happening, but you can tell that the music stopped playing. And if you look at the list item, you can see the ID of paused. So let's try some of these other ones. Yeah, there's a couple of problems that you're probably seeing. I can pause more than one thing. Let me go ahead and refresh this and play that one, refresh, and play this one. So there's still a few problems we need to fix, but we've been able to separate whether or not a song is playing or not, and also detect whether or not a song is paused or is currently playing. and we've essentially created a toggle. So we'll continue working on this in the next movie.